Chuck Williams has been a volunteer for the South Sudan Medical Clinic Project beginning in 2007 when he traveled there. Before his trip, he made the Green Books, which are mathematical books to help train young children. This was part of a family business. Chuck had many other jobs he did before South Sudan, including Boeing Airplane, Dow Chemical, Hammock Corp, and 2 years around the country with the U.S. Army. He had many experiences that helped him prepare for the trip to South Sudan. He made several trips to Africa with his wife for bird exploration. When he heard they needed volunteers to build a medical clinic in South Sudan, he immediately volunteered.
Mr. Williams went back to South Sudan because he wanted to help the community and help South Sudan. He also wanted to give back, and he thought it was the perfect opportunity. Mr. Williams was well prepared for his travel to South Sudan. Unlike other people like Reverend Lindsay, who almost died of heat exhaustion, he was still very healthy for his age of 77. Mr. Williams was excited about going, but other people had concerns. His other members of the community that were concerned because they have never traveled to Africa before. When he found out his companion couldn't make it, he realized he would have to be alone in South Sudan for 15 days. Each member of the trip worked with a companion because the planes they flew in were too small to include more than 2 travelers with supplies.
The pilot of the plane that was dropping him off was very concerned.
We were chatting on the way, and he found out I was going to be there all by myself. And he didn't think that was a good idea. He was a missionary, one of the missionary pilots that flies people all over Central Africa, mainly out of Nairobi, different directions. But I convinced him that it was going to be no problem.
When he got to South Sudan, everyone treated him like a king. Mr. Williams had explained that he was here to work. In one day, the team built 2 11 by 15 rooms. The concrete machine that they were going to use wasn't working, so they had a hand mix.
While Mr. Williams was there, he ate most of the food of the people, but not for breakfast. For breakfast, he had power bars, craisins, and malarian pills. He would then do his day of work. At lunch, he ate rice and a few beans, and he usually had the same for dinner. Every day, it was the same thing for work and for food. Mr. Williams made and met lots of friends that he would never forget.
Once the clinic was built, eye doctors came to the clinic to help people. Since South Sudan is really dry, flies surround people's eyes because that's where all the moisture is. So many people were unable to open their eyes. When doctors opened their eyes, they realized they could see. This made the trip seem like a success.
Sudan was made of many tribes. The president and vice president were different tribes. This led to great conflict. Once the issue was brought up, it started a great war. It split Sudan in half, made South Sudan and the clinic a war zone, and difficult to go back.
7 years later, in January 2014, the clinic was attacked and raided of all the supplies and was vandalized. Once Mr. Williams heard this, he wanted to go back and help rebuild the clinic, but he couldn't because it was a war zone and too dangerous to return. He's still trying to help the people of South Sudan even though he can't go back. To this day, they are still trying to help the people of South Sudan.